NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live on Capitol Hill, has been following all of this outside of that hearing room there. Joe, he was pressed on a number of decisions and moves that he's made, including by some Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, we expected some tense exchanges today, and certainly there were those heated moments, mostly from Democrats, but as you point out, some tough questioning from Republicans too. And on the minds of senators there, the big concerns were, yes, the CDC chair, the firing of Susan Manarez, who just a little over a month ago was confirmed by this very Senate, and then you've got the other CDC officials that followed. There was a lot of concern more generally about the reason for that firing, which is the dispute over vaccine policy. Remember, back in June, Secretary Kennedy let go of the entire advisory board that does recommendations for vaccines. That unsettled a lot of senators, that in itself. There was also the downgrading of the recommendations for the COVID vaccine and then cutting of tens of millions of dollars in research. A lot of that money went to mRNA vaccine research. So those are the concerns we heard from both sides of the aisle, the people that did have concerns at all. And I want to play one exchange between Senator Elizabeth Warren and Secretary Kennedy as they went over whether or not his downgrading of the recommendations for COVID vaccines means that there are actually going to be less access for those vaccines overall. Take a listen.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
So to clear that up, the CDC under Secretary Kennedy officially says no more recommendations, CDC recommendations for the COVID vaccine for children and pregnant women. And the result of that is that there are some very popular pharmacies like CVS and others that will no longer offer that vaccine. You could potentially get it at your doctor's office. So while Democrats sort of said that, some of the Republicans on the committee acknowledged that would at least be more difficult to get your vaccine. You may have to go through a couple more steps. One of those Republicans was Senator Bill Cassidy. The reason that his exchanges with Secretary Kennedy were interesting is because if we take us back all the way to January, when then private citizen Kennedy was trying to become the secretary, it was Bill Cassidy who really was the deciding vote for him. Cassidy chairs a different committee, the Health Committee, Senate Health Committee, and it was actually that committee that was sort of deadlocked. Cassidy, the chairman of it, cast the tie-breaking vote for Kennedy at the time, but he did so with some assurances, making Kennedy promise that he wasn't going to upend the advisory committee, which actually he ended up doing, that he also wasn't going to change the vaccine schedule, which he also did. So there seemed to be some promises broken to Senator Cassidy. The secretary today defended his moves. He says, look, the CDC, in his view, has been corrupted. He actually said that they have been putting politics over science for some time now. He says that the United States has continued to get sicker as a country under the watch of several CDC officials. And Secretary Kennedy said what that requires is that people get fired. And so he says he believes made the exact right decisions to fire not only the head of the CDC, but that potentially others too could even follow.
All right. So, Joe, you mentioned Dr. Manarez. Today, this, fired CDC director wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, and she is accusing RFK Jr. of sabotaging the agency.
Yeah, she did. And she said that part of their dispute was because simply she would not fire the people whom he asked her to fire career officials, doctors, people with expertise. And that came up quite a bit. Almost as soon as that op-ed was published today by Susan Manarez, it was entered into the record here in the committee hearing, and it was brought up several times. People were literally reading RFK Jr. from the op-ed, and there were some points that he said, yes, this, I agree, it happened. Other points that Susan Manarez said, conversations that she had written about between herself and Secretary Kennedy, he actually denies and says, no, that she is wrong. He went as far as to say she was lying about some of the things in that op-ed. That had actually prompted a couple of senators to say, we should get former CDC head Manarez into a committee so that she can have her side of the story be told in a setting like Secretary Kennedy got. Whether that actually happens, that remains to be seen, and that'll be up to the Republican leaders here on Capitol Hill.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.